Anthony Smith versus Ryan Spann takes place this weekend in the main event of UFC Fight Night Vegas 37, Smith versus Spann, and I can't wait for this light heavyweight main event. Two top guys in the light heavyweight division, number 6 in the world, Anthony Smith, versus number 11 in the world, Ryan Spann. Ryan Spann, of course, coming off a big first round KO win over ranked contender Misha Serkinov at the time, which puts him right up there in the rankings. He's got some good wins in the division. You've also got Anthony Smith coming off his pretty decent performance, in all honesty, against Jimmy Crute. Got him out of there towards the start of the second round. It was a little bit more of a technical finish, but either way, Anthony Smith was winning that first round, out jabbing Jimmy Crute, chopped at his legs. Jimmy Crute's leg just wouldn't really regain consciousness, I guess, and kept rolling over his ankle with it, so they called off the fight, but still, both guys coming off wins. Really good matchup in the light heavyweight division. Should it be a main event? Probably not, but the other main events this year have been really, really bad, so it kind of just fucking blends in at this point. So it's a main event of a fight night. Anthony Smith, Ryan Spann. I like the matchup, in all honesty. I really do like the matchup. Anthony Smith has been on a rampage recently, trying to get back towards his belt. I'm liking the storyline there. Really reinvented himself in the division. Looks way more composed, way more measured out there. He doesn't seem as wild as he was before when he first made his climb up the light heavyweight division. And I feel as though Anthony Smith, kind of, in his career, really... If you think about the title pathway that Smith had to go down to get towards a title shot, Shogun Rua, Volkan Ozdemir. Right? I believe that was the streak that we're talking about here to get him towards that title shot. I know he beat some good guys afterwards, like Alexander Gustafsson, and more recently Devin Clark and Jimmy Crute, but like, he beat Rashad Evans, which is... a win, I guess, but that was at the time. Rashad Evans, of course, not the big name that he once was. He then beats Shogun Rua, then he beats Volkan Ozdemir, and all of a sudden, Anthony Smith is fighting John Jones. So I feel like he was one of these guys where maybe he was rushed towards the title, wasn't really ready for a title shot at the time, could have won the belt by taking that illegal knee stoppage, could have been a little bit of an Aljo and got the belt off John Jones and ruined the entire division because of it, but I like him for not doing that, proving his Lionheart name very, very correct. One of the most fitting nicknames in the industry, in my opinion. But recently, after his 2 losses after the win against Alexander Gustafsson, against Glover Teixeira, Alexander Rakic, similar story both times, looking like he's going to start okay, and then they eventually just get on top of him and start doing some real big damage, start beating the shit out of him in both cases, to be honest with you. Rakic's wasn't as bad as the Teixeira one, but if Teixeira's fight got stopped a bit earlier than it should have been stopped, maybe it wouldn't have been so bad of a beating, but that beating was mainly because Anthony Smith just refused to go out cold, and Teixeira just was handling business against Anthony Smith, beat the shit out of him. But to be honest with you, since Glover Teixeira has now gone on and beaten Thiago Santos since then by submission as well, it's not a bad look to lose to Glover Teixeira anymore. He's got some really good wins, including a win over Carl Roberson, by the way, who KO'd Ryan Spann in the first round. I mean, Glover Teixeira was looked at the start of his run, once he got that split decision over Nikita Krylov in a razor close fight. People were saying, oh my god, how are these guys losing to Glover Teixeira? But I feel like Glover Teixeira actually is one of the top guys in the light heavyweight division still, and that loss doesn't look so bad in hindsight. The Alexander Rakic loss doesn't look so bad in hindsight. Both of the people that beat Smith in Teixeira and Rakic then went on to go and beat Thiago Santos afterwards, who's a guy, of course, who holds a win over Anthony Smith and was known for doing better than Smith did against John Jones as well. I'm looking forward to it. I think Anthony Smith has got this one in the bag, though. Am I wrong? I think Ryan Spann's good. I like his power. I'm not going to bet on his power because typically Anthony Smith doesn't really get KO'd. He has 1 KO loss in his entire career, UFC and Strikeforce included, I believe, other than the Thiago Santos body shot one. I'm talking about like chinned, KO'd, like where your chin is the problem, where you've taken a big blow to the jaw. He got KO'd by Aldan Amagov at one point, all the way back in 2011. He has not been KO'd in a loss to the chin since then, and that's what you're really looking out for here if you're a Ryan Spann picker. You want to see if Smith can take those punishing shots, and honestly, his chin is really good. I know he's been KO'd a couple of times in his career, like on the regional scene and stuff like that. He's been TKO'd to ground and pound, where he didn't really have as much of a ground game, or he gassed out in the 3rd round and guys eventually finished him off against the cage because he had no more energy left. But in terms of his chin, It's actually pretty good. So I can trust him, I believe, to go out there and take at least a couple of shots in that first round against Ryan Spann. And I also want to mention his stand-up has massively improved recently as well. I mean, against Devin Clark and Jimmy Crute, and even at the start of the Glover Teixeira fight in that first round, Anthony Smith, like, his stand-up has looked like he's a new man now. The second round against Glover Teixeira was very, very close before he got dropped towards the end of it. But in the first round, 37-14 on significant strikes for Anthony Smith. I think if you're giving him a guy who can't really push a pace like Glover Teixeira can in the grappling situation, Ryan Spann slows down massively in bouts. He slowed down massively against Sam Alvey. He looks very, very tired and lumbersome, and he's tripping over himself a little bit at times, and he almost looks drunk out there after the first round. I don't think he's going to be able to push a pace on Anthony Smith. And Anthony Smith's a guy who pushed a pace on Ozdemir and came back afterwards after Ozdemir started having some success and eventually made his pace work for himself against Volkan Ozdemir and got a submission in the later rounds of that fight in round 3. I feel as though Anthony Smith's got this one in the bag, and I think I'm going to pick him by rear naked choke in the 3rd round against Ryan Spann. I think I can see him going out there, earning a little bit of respect early, but not too much respect, please, Misha Turkinov. Not too much respect early against Ryan Spann. I think Smith's going to go out there, land a couple of good leg kicks, land a couple of solid jabs here and there, maybe a decent right hand. Spann's going to be firing back and land a couple of good shots as well. But I think Smith's going to be going to the body, going to the legs, doing some more veteran stuff, whereas maybe Spann's going to be headhunting a little bit more. And I think that Anthony Smith's going to have a real good time out there jabbing. Spann is not... He swings big overhands. Like, listen, I understand he could KO Anthony Smith here, but... it's literally a puncher's chance, really, because when it gets a little bit tricky and he doesn't get his opponent out of there in the first minute, or in the first round and a half of his fights, Ryan Spann really struggles, and we saw that against Sam Alvey. And I'll tell you this, I rewatched the fight. It's kind of hard to give the fight to Ryan Spann. I'm not saying robbery, but you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying robbery or anything, yeah? But, like, it's kind of difficult to give Ryan Spann that fight. I understand he had certain moments in there against Sam Alvey. And I think this is a dangerous thing that we're even talking about who won between him and Sam Alvey when he's about to go out there against Anthony fucking Smith. But, it's what we're talking about. He arguably kind of lost that one in the 1st and 3rd round, and the stats kind of back up what I was seeing in that fight as well. Alvey maybe won that one, and Spann had him in like a standing arm triangle choke that they counted as a submission attempt, but it wasn't in whatsoever. They were standing up. There was no pressure on that choke whatsoever. But I guess that's what gave him the round, because Sam Alvey, 103-52 on total strikes, 57-51 on significant strikes. Spann got a couple of takedowns here and there, but Alvey was outworking him the entire time. 17-9 in the 1st round, 25-20 in the 3rd round, lost the 2nd round. I feel like if it starts getting into those other rounds where Spann's losing, I don't think he can afford to be losing against Anthony Smith. And I think Smith's going to put in like a finishing performance here and get a 3rd round rear naked choke submission, I believe. I mean, Ryan Spann's very good. He just overswings certain shots at times. I would actually prefer him to win here because we do need some new blood in the division, but he's a bit chinny as well. He's been KO'd by Johnny Walker, got KO'd by Carl Roberson, who's a middleweight who doesn't really put out middleweights. Let's be real. Doesn't really put out middleweights in any way whatsoever, but he was able to KO Ryan Spann with a couple of elbows in close as Ryan Spann was going for a takedown. And Johnny Walker also did the same thing. Elbows in close as Spann was going for a takedown. Now, of course, Spann did rock Johnny Walker initially in the first place, but to me, that screams fucking bad decision making. He was shooting takedowns on a Walker that was done. Like, a Walker that was completely jelly-legged, absolutely missing every shot he throws. It was a little bit chaotic, don't get me wrong, but he was shooting takedowns multiple times against a guy who's clearly one punch from being out cold on the feet. Find that one punch, don't dive for takedowns, and then rest on a single leg while you're getting your head elbowed into oblivion. And just wait there until something happens. Like, you're going to get KO'd in that situation. Same thing happened against Carl Roberson. Just sort of resting his head in a terrible situation. Elbows start coming. And he doesn't respond. He just stays there and gets KO'd. Decision making's a little bit weird from Ryan Spann. He's athletic. He's got KO ability. I don't think Smith's going to be getting KO'd in the first round. And if I don't see that happening, I don't see Spann winning in any way. So, we'll see, I guess. He does have a good win over Devin Clark, which is a pretty decent win. I think he KO'd him or submitted him in the second round after landing a very big shot on him. He put him in a guillotine choke in the second round of their fight. But, I don't know, man. Even before then, he got taken down twice by Devin Clark. He lost the first round against Devin Clark. He came back in the second on a little bit of a lousy Devin Clark who got caught with a good punch and then put in a guillotine. I mean, I'm seeing guys beating Ryan Spann for a bit. And I think if Smith does that, he's too veteran and too experienced to let that slip. Like, if Smith's in half guard on top of you like Devin Clark was, he's making that work for himself. Like, he's going to get to mount. He's going to look to take the back. He's going to go for the rear naked, or he's going to look for some kind of submission, or he's going to stay in that position in half guard and total strike you till the end of the round. You watch some of these other guys, they get into a good position, and all of a sudden it's like time to get to mount and ground and pound, and then they end up no longer in a good position, like Ryan Spann against Johnny Walker. Ryan Spann, great position on Johnny Walker, rushes things, and Johnny Walker escapes out the exit, out the back. I feel as though Anthony Smith's way too composed. Stand-up massively improved. Chin extremely good. Footwork looking better than ever. Full training camp as well, which is always nice for him. First 5-rounder for Ryan Spann. Not looking good when you're slowing down in 3-rounders, you know, even against Luis Enrique. He won that fight, but then again, I'm looking at the numbers here. 4 takedowns for Luis Enrique with 5 minutes of control time and a submission attempt. If Smith has these positions against you, you aren't winning those rounds. You can't be giving up control time against Smith. We saw that against Devin Clark. Clark went for the initiation on Smith, ended up on top. Wasn't where he wanted to be, even with Smith on bottom in the light heavyweight division. Bottom work in heavier divisions is way more impressive to me. Okay, and he took some shots off Devin Clark as well, but Smith's got a good chin, very composed, stays in there, knows how to survive fights as well. I think he's going to go out there and get a really good finish over Ryan Spann. And if he does win this one, I mean, Anthony Smith, credit to him, because he's put together 3 solid wins in the light heavyweight division. And you could argue that he's 1 fight away from a title shot again. I know it sounds a bit crazy to say because we only recently saw him lose that many in a row, but Anthony Smith has stayed active. He beat Devin Clark in November of 2020. Turned back around in April of 2021. Now he's turning around again. He's fighting like once every 5 months. Pretty active for a guy. Normally some guys take out an entire year and then they come back, or they're sitting out for 9 months or 6 months is active to them. But Smith's getting in there multiple times a year. If he beats Ryan Spann, that's Devin Clark, who I believe was number 15 at the time, which is how they justified making that a fucking main event. Jimmy Crute, who I believe was number 14 at the time and might even be ranked right now in the division. Yes, still number 14 in the division. And Ryan Spann's number 11. In my opinion, Anthony Smith, I mean, Ankalaev is going to beat Ozdemir, I believe, but I don't see him finishing Ozdemir. And Smith finished Ozdemir in the 3rd round. So I feel like if Smith wins, it would kind of be an injustice to not put him at number 4 in the division. Unless Thiago Santos beats Johnny Walker, which I also believe he will. So if Santos beats Johnny Walker, Santos stays at number 4, Anthony Smith moves up to number 5 above Dominic Reyes because Reyes has literally been losing and he hasn't won any fights recently. So I think if Smith wins and Santos loses, we can start thinking about putting Smith at number 4 and then start looking at maybe a Smith versus Teixeira rematch if Teixeira wants to keep going after a loss to Blachowicz. I doubt he will, which means another golden opportunity for the rest of the light heavyweight division. So, if the loser of Jan Blachowicz and Glover Teixeira retires, which I truly believe they will, then the winner of this one's going to be shimmied up more positions anyway. If Teixeira loses by KO against Blachowicz, he's not fighting again. So Smith could get number 3. He could definitely get number 4 from this. We'll see what he decides to do. But for Ryan Spann, he's going to jump way up the rankings. Probably not get as highly ranked as Smith would do because he's way down the rankings compared to Smith. But I'm looking forward to it. We'll see if Ryan Spann can get a KO in the 1st round. That would be ideal for the division. Nice new bit of hype. A new opponent for one of these top guys like an Alexander Rakic or something like that who he hasn't beaten before, because Rakic is in a position right now where he's beaten everyone. He's beaten Santos. He's beaten Reyes. No, he hasn't beaten Reyes. He's beaten Santos. He's beaten Smith. He's beaten Ozdemir if you watch that fight and don't look at the decision on paper. He beat Ozdemir very clearly. Rakic can't just rematch Smith. So in all honesty, I'm kind of praying for Ryan Spann to get a first round KO with no damage and then turn around in December for another main event of a fight night against Alexander Rakic or a main card of a pay-per-view fight against Alexander Rakic. That would be ideal because right now Jiri Prochazka, as much as I love him, has ruined the entire light heavyweight division by not fighting Rakic next. That was the perfect fight. Now it's done. Like and subscribe. See you later. Click that button up there. Toodle pip. Goodbye.